Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Doug Smith Mitsubishi here in American for giving me some time with this Eclipse Cross. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT. Fuel economy is 25 around town, 26 on the highway, with power outputs being 152 horsepower and then 184 pound-feet of torque. Before I move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. We have Eclipse Cross there on the front of the hood, and try to say Eclipse Cross 10 times in a row. Good luck with that. Anyways, Mitsubishi logo below that. You can see the grille's blacked out with this. We have a split light design with the actual headlight cluster down below. And putting it all together, it has a very sharp looking front end. Our tire wheel setup is 225 by 55 by 18. You can see with the wheels, you got the silver and the blacked out trim. And then we've got these nice fender flares here. Mirror cap is painted to match. You've got some chrome trim around the windows as well, and then you notice the door handles are painted to match, and we've got keyless entry there too. And then here is the side profile. This is a very interesting looking car, again, very angular with the overall shape. This leads us to the key fob where we've got our lock and unlock function. We've got the opening for the rear hatch, which is just like an unlock, and then you've got the Mitsubishi logo there on the back. And popping into said rear hatch, it is, well, actually it's power. I guess I didn't press the key fob properly. Anyways, you can see we've got a cargo cover built in from the factory. Underneath the load floor, we've got a spare tire as well. And, you know, the slope design in the rear does get in the way of vertical space, but overall it's pretty good. And then when you're all done, you've got a little press, close that down. I think the taillights back here are very interesting with how they kind of pop down. And then you can see all of the badges. And also, I find it funny that there is a sticker on the window from the manufacturer. Super all-wheel drive control. Anyways, there's the rest of the rear. Now this leads us inside where the interior is actually really nice. So you've got soft touch here and down below for the rear passengers. And you got this plastic trim that kind of looks like carbon fiber. And look at the seats, again, nice trim all down the center. Getting in's easy. You've got plenty of legroom here in the back. We've got a little storage pocket there as well. And then the headroom back here, despite the slope design, is actually pretty good. Now popping up front, we've got more soft touch here down below, and they actually give you some fancy stitching with the front door panel. The mirrors do power fold in. They've got blind spot monitoring. All of the windows, as you can see, are automatic, up and down. And then we've got, again, nice trim on the front seats, just like the back. Power adjustments there on the side. It does come with safety tech. You can see you can turn off the collision assist, you lane depart, you got stability control as well, and there's more soft touch trim all across the dash. Stop start button's kind of hiding back there. Mitsubishi logo front and center. We've got practical controls on the one side for like the camera, for example, your volume, voice command controls, phone controls. This does come with adaptive cruise control, and we actually have nice paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel, and then you've got regular stalks there for the light turn signal and then windshield wiper on the other side. I also do want to mention you've got this like gloss black trim on the steering wheel too, which kind of makes it look a little bit fancier. So the gauge cluster is very simplistic, which I really like. You've got that digital screen there in the center, which will display different items depending on what you have. And you notice that I've got different modes I can go between. But yeah, analog on either side, which I really hope we have a return back to analog because I think this just looks cleaner than the full digital. Now this actually has a 360 camera system, which is cool to have. It's not a huge vehicle, so it's not necessary, but it's still a nice feature. Analog controls there at the bottom here for the radio, and then the infotainment system itself is a touchscreen. It's pretty quick to respond. I will say though, the kind of overall screen is pretty dark, but it's easy enough to use. This does come with dual zone climate. We also have a function turn on the heated steering wheel. You've got your eco mode. You can see USB ports, all 12 volt. Shifter here for the CVT. And then you've got heated seats right there. And this is for your all-wheel drive. Again, the different drive modes we went over. We've got our parking brake with our auto hold, some cup holders here, center console, nice trim on the top of this as well. And then just a regular rear view mirror and then no sunroof. So 2025 Eclipse Cross. This one is an SEL. Total MSRP is $33,285. And see how it performs. Well, Eclipse Cross. That's funny. When you go to the bottom of the climate controls, it gives you a beep if you try to go lower because you can't go lower in temp. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. You know, I have a soft spot for cars like this because, you know, a lot of people give brands like Mitsubishi crap because they, you know, they don't make stuff like the Evo anymore. But what I will say is this just feels like a well-built, affordable car. We don't have a lot of that in the US. First off, we don't have a lot of affordable cars in general. But yeah, just stuff that just, again, it's basic materials, but everything like fit and finish feels tight. And it just, yeah, again, you just sitting here and it feels like a, for an affordable car, it feels like a pretty darn nice place to be. Seats are comfortable too, which is a plus. And I mean, these paddle shifters, for example, they're nice. They feel nicer than the paddle shifters you have on like a $70,000 BMW because they just use like all crappy feeling plastic. This actually, I think it's still plastic. Might be metal actually. It's kind of hard to tell. It doesn't feel quite as crazy as like a Ford Raptor's paddle shifter, but still, it's little things like that that you're like, man, makes this little affordable thing feel pretty nice, pretty premium. And suspension's pretty comfortable too over the little bump there. And this turbocharged engine actually is pretty torquey. Decent, again, for the segment this is in, decent insulation. And I love this style of steering wheel where it's kind of like rougher with the texture. It has like a rugged feel to it. I want to see if the, again, these are not real gears, but how responsive this CVT is. It's actually pretty quick. See if we can pop it back, yeah, into auto easily. It's easy enough to use. Now I imagine getting onto the highway, it's not going to be the fastest. That's actually not that bad. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely diving into the throttle, that's for sure. So it's no rocket ship, but again, for the segment this is in, it feels like it's got adequate power. But yeah, it's a car where you're gonna have to ring it out a little bit. But everything sub $40,000, you know, unless it's like a little sports car, even little sports cars, you got to ring them out. Anything sub $40,000, they're not gonna have a crazy amount of power. Got a little bit of road noise, but it's not, this is, again, when you see Mitsubishi, you don't think much, but when you drive this, you're like, this ain't that bad. It actually drives well, it's pretty well insulated. Yeah, I know. And I like the old school, like, graphics with everything. Like, it gives me, like, I went over the line a little bit, and it gives me a big flash that says lane departure instead of like a little, I mean, it still has the, gosh, my stupid backpack. It still has a little icon here on the dash too. But it just kind of like, they use old school graphics for everything, and it's really endearing. I actually really like it. It's one of the things that I don't know, I think, believe it or not, has aged really well, because if you try to use modern graphics in a car, they'll be outdated within like 6 months because graphics are just constantly changing. But if you use something like old school like this, like I look at this and I go, this reminds me of like the 90s. And it kind of gives you a little bit of nostalgia, and you're like, I like it. It's comforting because it's like, what's the word for it? Familiar. Also, eco mode. I don't know if I mentioned that in the walk around. There is an eco mode if you want to save on fuel. Let's see if that brings back the throttle response quite a bit. Oh boy, pulled over by the woo-woo squad. Typical Volkswagen owner. Oh yeah, that pulls back on throttle response quite a bit, which is expected. Yeah, get that. So, man, this thing's pulling me to the side a little bit. Not bad, but I think it's because the tire, when you have tires that are super skinny, sometimes it's weird. If you have tires that are really wide, they'll track. If you have tires that are really skinny, the tires don't track, but the car sometimes just gets pulled because the interstate kind of tilts a little bit. That's weird. But yeah, I think this is a cool, affordable, all-wheel drive vehicle. I think the least that you can do is just go and check one of these out. Just go and drive one and see what you think. I think that a lot of you will be impressed with, I understand. I think a lot of you will be impressed with the build quality, how it drives, and yeah, just the general, and some of you might like the feel of this, where it's kind of a little bit less techy compared to a lot of the other vehicles in the segment. So let me know what you think.